So hi, Mary
Hi, how are
Johnson.
you? Thank you. Nice
You
to meet
are,
you.
now I had to look it up. You are manager of growth and strategy at Polaris. And
That's
you are,
changing.
oh, it's changed. Okay, tell me what you are.
No, that's okay. Um, so I am transitioning in to be the manager of the 401 Tech Bridge, which is a new sibling organization that will kind of run in parallel to Polaris MEP under the University of Rhode Island Research Foundation.
Okay. And you also work with the Textile Innovation Network?
I do, yes. So the 401 Tech Bridge will be promoting composite and advanced materials and kind of that industry within Rhode Island through projects with the Navy and industry and academia. So it kind of brings all the partners together. And so the Textile Network will be part of it as we, as advanced materials kind of overlap a lot with composites and textiles.
So your space is really, companies that are manufacturing and producing things here in Rhode Island. I mean, that's your network that you've been working with for many years, but certainly now during this period of time.
Yes. So I've been with Polaris for 3 years, and a little over 3 years, and we're an MEP center, which is the Manufacturing Extension Partnership. There is at least one in every state, and the goal is of the organizations, we're nonprofit, is to essentially be a nonprofit consulting firm to help small and mid-sized manufacturers grow and be successful. So we only work with manufacturing companies in Rhode Island, and then we leverage the network of the other MEP centers to create collaboration and connect them to business and to help them improve their bottom line.
Thank you for explaining that, because I've never been able to explain it succinctly.
Yes. I'm Midwestern, so to me it's like, oh, it's just like the ag extension. You bring egghead ideas into farms to help them improve and become more competitive, and we're doing the same thing on the manufacturing side.
Okay. Who knew? I did not know that. So tell me what this, in the coronavirus moment, what you are experiencing, seeing, noticing, what work you're doing. I mean, I'm interested both, on the personal level, but obviously from your professional perspective as well.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start on the personal level. So 2019 really was hard personally. We had a family crisis. There was like every day was kind of worst case scenario planning. And so in a lot of ways, like the panic and anxiety was really high every day. And the whole chin up thing, right? I'm going to go every day and just try to be chin up and do the best I can. And that so by the time 2020 rolled in, and kind of everybody collectively freaked out, it was in a way comforting, because this is weird. I mean, it wasn't that I'm taking pleasure in other people's discomfort, but that I felt like I was reconnected to society in a way that I had been kind of isolated and distant while I was just trying to deal with so many different things. So I kind of have approached this in terms of like, hey, welcome to the party. Can I give you some cookies? And that has been good. So as things get easier on the personal side and work, we're trying to help companies do the best they can. There's just been so many amazing stories that it's been nice to be able to see positive in this. Like most of my day, I get to feel like I make a difference. I get to feel like there are good things happening. I was pretty much, as soon as this hit, the manufacturers are trying to keep their employees safe. So they've limited outside contact. So while manufacturing has stayed open in Rhode Island, they're not allowing outsiders in. And all of our work is project-based with manufacturers. Most of our staff spends their day not in an office, but on a factory floor, helping to create improved processes, helping with all sorts of different projects, helping companies get certified to quality standards. So when that all had to stop, we had to adjust to how could we do some of that remotely. Some of it's just on hold for a while, but what else do companies need? And I was focused personally on helping with the PPE supply chain here. So working with through a lot of the network with the Rhode Island Textile Innovation Network to help companies connect and start to create masks, start to create materials for gowns, and then connect them into the broader MEP network, who also knows very well their local manufacturing community and is trying to do that to help their companies, so that we can kind of connect dots to help this company is making his created a fabric that can be used for gowns. Can we connect them to cut and sew organizations, or like mattress companies that have shifted to make gowns, so that they have a supply that is regional and that they can work together to create these new products. So we've been doing a lot of that.
So you're not just making the connections within Rhode Island, but also, you know, broader through your network nationally.
Absolutely.
In Rhode Island. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, absolutely. So in a case of, I'll mention them specifically, the Cooley Group in Pawtucket, we were able to set up calls with them with 7 different MEP centers around the country who had clients that were looking for materials to make gowns. And so it sort of it connects their sales force into this network of people who understand the ground game in their individual, as far away as Alaska. And so that has been a real positive. That, and then on the other side, we had companies here that were looking to create, Propel as an example. They do a lot of R&D for the military now and personal protective equipment, steam suits for Navy, for the Navy, for people who have to work around heavy equipment. And they started making masks. That fabric comes from Darlington Fabrics in Westerly. The elastic is coming from Stretch Products and Northeast Knitting, which is both in Pawtucket. And the nose stay is a jewelry company in Eagle Square.
Wow.
So, I mean, and you think right, that's a very Rhode Island thing. We make a lot of really small parts, but when you put the little parts together, you can make things. And so as companies like that start to look for supply chains and to look for companies that make those other components that make up a product, we can also connect them into the network to help them in a formal way find partners, find companies that, you know, even job shops that can provide product that they need. And also, again, help connect our companies that make components into companies that are making end products. So it is a lot of kind of that, you know, working a network, understanding who the different people are, who they're connected to, and working the 6 degrees of separation in a positive way to improve the economy here in Rhode Island.
Well, and it validates the work that you've been doing for years, because if you hadn't built that network, it wouldn't be in place and ready to go.
Yeah, thank you. And yes, that is a lot of it, is just to continue working with, you know, continue making relationships and developing relationships.
Yeah. Well, we're lucky to have you doing that. Is there anything, you know, that you're seeing, you mentioned it a little bit, but, you know, what are you seeing that's giving you hope that you're holding on to right now as you think towards the future?
Yeah. So there's certainly seeing companies be nimble and adapt to creating new products, finding new supply chains. How well most of the companies are addressing their employees' needs. You know, there are companies that have gone to 4-day work weeks, so that the plant is closed for 3 days and things can kind of, you know, that helps with the disinfecting and with keeping their employees safe. That they are redesigning, and in some cases we're helping with this, redesigning the floor so that the work cells are limiting the number of people who are in contact in the course of a day, so that you can help make sure that if somebody does get sick, your whole office doesn't go down. And that their production can continue, and help people address all those different issues. So it's been great to see the companies really working hard on that. They really understood that it was being able to stay open was a privilege. Most of our companies are essential. In a lot of cases, they are working very deep in the supply chain, so it may not be obvious. It's like, oh, they make screws. Like, why can't a screw company close? Well, it's because those are screws that go into Sikorsky helicopters, and those are screws that go into, or those are components that are going into all sorts of products that are essential for medical supplies. Things like the material that goes into the medical drapes, body bags, all sorts of different products that you wouldn't necessarily think are made here. And so that's been important. I would say also the companies are starting to look at, in whatever is going to happen next, 6 months, a year, automation will probably be one of the solutions. And that's going to have to be a larger societal question, I think, in a lot of ways. Yeah. That those will create jobs that are higher skilled jobs, better paying jobs. But we need to be careful and find a way to support the people who may get lost in that transition. Again, I said I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in the Midwest at the time when all the factories were closing down. So my brother's friends went straight out of high school into factory jobs, bought houses, boats. By the time I graduated from high school, all that had collapsed. Most of my high school colleagues who would have expected to go straight into manufacturing because that's what their dads and their uncles did, couldn't find jobs. Many have been unemployed pretty much forever, or in very low wage, stressful jobs. And I don't want to see that happen here. But that's going to take the education system all the way through from kindergarten up, kind of understanding how, and they were making great strides in this, but continuing to adapt to what a worker of the future needs, the kind of skill set people need. It definitely will require ongoing job training to help people move into jobs and develop those skills particularly if their K-12 education wasn't very strong, and to make sure that people don't get left behind. The virus has certainly hit certain communities much harder, and those are the communities we need to really protect and make sure that they're able to adapt and stay healthy and find ways to create a solution that works, all the way across the board.
Yeah, we have a lot of reinventing to do, I think, across systems.
Yes, and that's going to be a big challenge.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thanks for talking to me. Thank you for all you're doing. Thanks to all of the people that you're working with.
Yeah, no, it's a great team. It's really an honor to be able to work with them. And I would say we really, with Christian Cowan as our leader, it has really been so supportive in terms of our work. There was no question it was time to go home. It was no question that we could stay here and work and find new ways to work with our clients, and that has been a great example, I think, for the manufacturing community, but it's also just been fabulous personally.